Now there's a break in the NHL playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to break down something I never talked about on this channel before, and has nothing to do with the Montreal Canadiens or Tampa Bay Lightning. If anything, Montreal and Tampa Bay wholly deserve to be in the Stanley Cup Finals. Tampa Bay, very balanced squad, had a great season. Montreal overachieved in the playoffs like many Montreal teams in the past. But there's a team that's not in the playoffs anymore, but yet their followers, first of all, are been complaining for the last number of weeks since Montreal won, saying it was a fix, or it was the referees were bad, or Toronto basically didn't choke and he just gave up, or whatever reason. Now, Toronto Maple Leafs fans of a certain age, I'm not talking the older fans that grew up with Davey Keon and Johnny Bower and all that, kind of cuts off in 1967. But the Toronto Maple Leaf fans from maybe 1970 to present day, especially those under the age of 30. Now, if you talk to them, this is the team that has only won one playoff series in 2 decades. If you talk to them, they deserve the Stanley Cup every year. They're Canada's team. They have the best players. They have the best coaches. Everybody follows the team. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read something for you. This is not me saying this. This is from your dictionary. The definition of a cult is a group of people with extreme dedication to a certain leader or set of beliefs that are often viewed as odd by others, or as an excessive and misplaced admiration for someone or something, or something that is popular among a certain segment of society. Now, here's the question. Are certain members of the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base cultists? Well, it's 6 and 1.5 dozen to the other. Do they have reason to be proud of the squad? Yes, they were the team of the 1960s with Davey Keon, won several big cups, 3 straight. Early part of the decade, the big cup against Montreal, 67, they were outlasting Montreal as Canada's team. But that's 54 years ago. There was a whole decade they were nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Second decade, they were nothing. Sure, they've had good players, Gilmore, Vive, Dorlego, Daryl Sittler. The decade of the 1970s was good to them. They made 2 series against Montreal, technically a top 5 team in the late 1970s. But what have they done since then? Why do they have so many fans? Well, cultism could describe it. There are some allegations I made through the years, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. The reason why a lot of people take up for the Maple Leafs is because they don't like the French and they don't like the Montreal Canadiens because of it. Well, that's easy to play out, but when the Quebec Nordiques joined the league, a lot of Toronto Maple Leaf fans cheer for the Nordiques to beat Montreal, so it's mostly anti-Montreal. Now, are Toronto Maple Leaf fans stupid? Well, they're not stupid. Are they delusional? Of course. Like I said in previous podcasts, you don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars, ladies and gentlemen, as the main team in a Monday Night Football or Sunday football night in America. You don't see the Arizona Diamondbacks at the key game on a Saturday night. For example, in Canada, we have the Yankees against the Red Sox as a key game on numerous networks tonight. Fox, Sportsnet. Soccer, England versus Scotland, or Brazil versus one of the lower countries. That's what people want to see. Now, where does all start from? Well, oversaturation of TSN and Sportsnet. Like even now, Toronto has been in the playoffs for about 4 weeks. They have something called Leafs Lunch. They have about 90 minutes format just to talk about the Leafs. Well, what are you talking about, losing all the time? The way Toronto has lost in the first round in the last number of years is a disgrace. They have a lot of young players, unlimited amount of money, and he still can't do it. So, but the team saying, oh, wait for next year. But I met one of their cultists today in Woodstock, New Brunswick, and he said to my face, he's a big Leafs fan, local business owner, he said, oh, Tampa Bay will take care of them. And like I told him, you're a cliche. Tampa Bay is going to take care of what? Just because Tampa Bay beats Montreal, is that going to take away 24 cups? Is going to take away Carey Price being the best Aboriginal goalie ever, maybe? Is going to take away Cole Caulfield being one of the best young players today in North America, a great U.S. prospect? Does it take away Corey Perry and Stahl and their gold medals and the world titles that they won in Stanley Cups? Of course not. So if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, you can back away from a cult. It's okay to take up for the team, but don't be crazy. Don't wear your $65 Avon towels in the cold weather, wearing hats when Montreal's in the second or third round just to bring back. Don't wear your 67 Stanley Cup shirts. You've done nothing for 54 years. If you don't think you're in a cult, but if you feel you're in a cult, why don't you talk to your local minister or priest and say, Father, Pastor, how can you help me? Taking it from Montreal Canadiens is not going to take away your cultism. You just got to look at this. If the Cleveland Browns became the #1 team in the NFL, would be there because they were winning. You don't even win consistently. Again, the playoffs, they had 3 opportunities to knock out Montreal, twice in overtime, and they blew it. And they were saying, basically making excuses. There are no excuses. Your team is rotten. You can't do nothing in the playoffs, so if you take up for them, you're on your way to being a cult. But if you scratch a cultist, there might be other cult attitude or into politically. Like how many people are Maple Leafs are UCP supporters or progressive conservatives or whatever? Yeah, it could be a good percentage, but that doesn't bode well. Toronto fans are delusional. Instead of saying we lost, we accepted, let's take up for the Canadian team. But the guy in CBC this week, he said, I'll never take up for Montreal. Well, you're not a fan of hockey. When the Leafs had a good team, or Montreal was not in the playoffs, I think we were knocked down first or second round, they did make some semifinals. Toronto had some 1 or 2 good years. I was still rooting for Toronto because I wanted Gary Bettman not to let an American team win again. So, give me a like, comment, or subscribe. Do you believe the Toronto Maple Leaf fans are part of a cult? You let me know. If you're Toronto Maple Leaf fans, explain to me how you're not in a cult. Or explain why you've seen the cultism rise with the Maple Leaf fans. You're not in paper bag territory yet, but next year it's 55 years. Let's put it in perspective. Moses in the wilderness for 40 years. Okay? Enough said. Thanks for listening. Bye.